Hi, today we will discuss about functions in C programming. The functions are a set of code that perform some specific task or a set of tasks. There are mainly two classifications of functions. These are standard library functions and user-defined functions. The standard library functions are actually the built-in functions like printf, power, etc. So the printf function, which is a function defined in stdio.h header file to display formatted output on the screen. The power function is used for calculating the power of a variable and it is defined inside math.h. So this stdio.h and math.h are header files which actually contains the definition of these functions. And user defined functions are the functions that is written by the user. So a function, say this array, it is written by the user to display the value of an array. So I am writing a function disarray to display the values of an array. The definition of the function may be in the same program or it may be in another file. So if it is written in another file, we have to include that file in our program also. About function declaration. So the functions are declared in the same way a variable is declared. So for declaring the function, we have to give the type of return type of the function. So the first syntax, the syntax contain return data type of the function. So this is a function name and this function is of this data type. And within brackets, these are the arguments of the function. The arguments that need to be passed to the function for execution. So this is the argument list, argument 1, argument 2, etc. What is written along with these arguments are the corresponding data types. So argument 1 is of this data type, argument 2 is of this data type. So in this way, we can separate the arguments with commas and end with a semicolon. After the bracket, it will end with a semicolon, similar to declaring a variable. An example of function declaration is shown. Int sum int a comma int b. Sum is the function name. Int is the return data type. That is the type of data the function returns to the calling function is integer. These two a and b are the variables of or arguments of the function sum. A is of integer data type and b is also integer data type. So here it is returned. The name of the function is sum. Return data type of the function is integer. The two arguments are of data type integer. One important thing to note, the function declaration is not needed if the user defined function is defined before the main function. So if we are defining it before the main function, we need not write this line. We can skip this line because the definition will also contain the declaration part. Next is about the function definition, how the function is actually defined. The syntax is, the first part is the function declaration itself. Up to this point we have already discussed the return data type, function name, data type argument 1 comma data type argument 2 comma etc. And after the bracket we will put a curly bracket opening, and within the curly bracket opening and close, we have the set of statements inside the function. So these are the statements that do the operations inside the function. Here is an example: int sum int a comma int b. That means sum is a function name, int is a return data type, a and b are two arguments of integer data type. So within the curly bracket we have the body of the function, in which I have declared a variable s locally. So it is getting two values a and b from the calling function, and in this particular example the sum is found, s is equal to a plus b, and it is returning the sum to the calling function. It is returning the value s, that is the total of a and b is passed to the function from which it is called. So this is how we call a function. For calling the function, what we need to do is write the function name, then pass the arguments. So if it is having a return value, what we will do, we have to assign this result. This function, if this function is returning a result, we have to assign this to some variables, so that we will get the result in this particular variable. So here is an example: sum x comma y. That means the value of x and y are passed to the function sum. So when this function is called, the execution will go to the actual function, and after execution of the function, that function will return the value to this function sum. So if it is having a return value, we will assign to some variables. A little more about the return statement. This is used in function to end the function execution. This return statement returns a value to the calling function. With the return statement, the program execution control is transferred back to the calling function. So in this way, we can give the return expression. So there are many ways of writing the return statement. The first one shows return result. So it is returning the value of a variable to the function from which it is called. Second one, it is an expression. That is a plus b, and a plus b is an expression. So the value of a plus b will be returned to the function, the calling function. Third one, if nothing is to be returned, we can return a 0. Otherwise, we can simply put return. If the function is a void function, we can simply put return. This is an example showing defining and calling a user-defined function to add two numbers. So initially, I am declaring the function. Sum is the function. Int is the return type of the function sum. So the result need to be in integer format. I am passing two integer number and I need a result as an integer. So these are my arguments, num1 and num2, which I will pass to the function for calculating the sum. So num1 is int type and num2 is also integer data type. So this is all about the function declaration, the function name, the return type, the argument list separated by commas. In the main function, I have two variables x and y having values 42 and 41. S is another variable to get the result of the function. So this is calling the function sum of x comma y. That means I am passing the value 42 and 41 to the function sum. So what happens when a function is called is that the program execution will go to the function definition. Here the two variables num1 and num2 will be assigned the values of x and y. That means now num1 will have the value 42 and num2 will have the value 41. In this result, I am declaring this result as integer data type, which is a local variable, and to the result I am calculating the sum of num1 and num2. So the result is inside the variable result. So I am going to return the value of the result back to the function. I am returning the value of result back to the function, and that value will be stored in this S. So the sum function is returning an integer value back to the calling function. Now the variable S is having the result, and we can print the result using a printf function, so that we will get the result S is equal to 83, the sum of 42 and 41. About the parameters or arguments of the function. So we saw in the previous example two types of parameters, that are actual parameters and formal parameters. The parameters that are passed to a function from the calling function is called actual parameter. So in the previous example you can see these two variables, that is x and y are the actual arguments or actual parameters. The formal parameters, these are the parameters that receive value from the called function. So in the previous example, num1 and num2 are the formal parameters. The scope of the parameters, that is the formal parameters, is only within the function. So any change in the formal parameters will not reflect in the actual parameters. Passing parameter to functions. Passing parameters to functions. So there are two methods by which we can pass the values. The first one is pass by value, second one is pass by reference. So values of actual parameters are copied to formal parameters in pass by value method. So the actual and formal parameters occupy different memory locations. So if my actual parameter is x and y and the formal parameters are a and b, then these four parameters are actually taking different memory locations. So any change in the formal parameters will not be reflected in the actual parameters. So anything changed inside the function will not be affected in the actual parameters. Second one is pass by reference. So in pass by reference method, both the actual and formal parameters point to the same memory location. So this is done using pointers, and the formal and actual parameters actually point to the same memory locations. So if any change done in the formal parameters, it will surely affect the actual parameters. So I am concluding with the advantages of using the functions. The first one is increased readability. The program readability will increase. The program readability will increase and will be easier to understand and debug. The program will be easier to understand and debug because the main program will be containing only some function calls to perform certain functions. From the function name itself, we'll be aware about the operations that will happen within the function. So the functional complexity will not be within the main function. Second point is it support modular programming. Modular programming means the program can be divided into different modules. The program can be divided into different modules. The different functions may be called as different modules. So the entire functionalities can be divided into different small modules by using the functions. Third one is work division is made easy. So as it supports the modular programming, automatically we can say the work division can be done very easily. That is a function help in modular programming. A big project can be divided into different modules, and these modules can be assigned to different programmers. Next point, reduce code redundancy. The function support modular programming. Sorry, the function helps reducing code redundancy. Instead of repeatedly writing the same code multiple times, we can create a function to do the same and call it whenever needed. Updating the code will also become easier using the functions. Last point is it provide an abstraction. That is, functions provide an abstraction of the functionality to the user. So the user need not worry about the content of the function. He just need to pass some variable to the function and get the result of the function. So it is actually providing an abstraction uh, of the operation of the function. Thank you all, and you can ask your doubt in the comment box below.